All right, so today we are working on a 2014 Ford F150 SVT Raptor. This is the Fox suspension, so it is a different suspension. I did run into an issue with this originally when I first brought it in. We ordered the struts for it. According to the aftermarket world, AutoZone O'Reilly's Advanced showed a Fox direct kit for this. It is not. The only way to do this is to buy the individual, unless you go to Fox website directly. So I ordered the new shock strut. It's not an assembly from Ford, so it's just the shock itself. So we'll have to take this all apart. So keep that in mind, but this is how we replace this. I will tell you, use caution. Do this at your own risk for a reason. We are not responsible. This spring right here has to be compressed. Gotta have tools for it. If you mess around and don't use the adequate equipment, you will get hurt. This is not a game when messing with these struts, because they have to be compressed, unbolted, and then released. This is very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. When it comes to shocks and struts, regular shocks are easy to do, struts are not. I always recommend replacing them as a complete assembly. This scenario you cannot. So be careful. I would advise taking it to a shop, having it done, at least the replacement of the shock itself. You can do the disassembly, everything except for the unit at home, carry it to a shop and they can do it if they got a spring compressor. Be careful. So that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started on this. I just loosened this lower bolt here, 28 millimeter, and the nut on the back side back here for the lower strut is a 30 millimeter. I went ahead and loosened this up. This is a 21 millimeter. I took a hammer, beat right here, because we need to get this thing up and out of the way so we can drop this down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this more than likely in time lapse, just for time reasons, so I'm not wasting a whole bunch of time here. So go ahead and get this bolt out. It's a big bolt. So we'll get you in time lapse. Any issues, I'll come out and let you know what we find, and any other tips or tricks I'll get out of time lapse and explain to you what's going on. All right, so to clarify, we got 3 bolts up here. This one here, this one here, this back one in the back, not the middle one. Don't touch the middle one. That is a no. Don't touch that one. The 3 outer bolts, those come off. They're 15 millimeter. So I'll have to get with a wrench on that one. But it's that back one underneath of the lines. We'll probably end up having to do a wrench on that, unless I can get the brake lines out of the way. So the 13 millimeters, or 15 millimeters, excuse me, 15 millimeters up there. Okay, you got the nut for the tie rod and the big bolt for the lower strut assembly. So we'll go ahead and get you in time lapse and get it started. Okay, so I just don't quite have enough movement, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this knuckle right here off, and I may take this sway bar link because that may be hanging just enough. So we'll start with a sway bar link, see if there's enough room there. Then we'll go to the knuckle if there's still not enough room. So I'm going to get you back in time lapse. So we'll see which route works best. Okay, just learn the hard way. Don't do it. I'll put this in the beginning of the video. The vacuum lines for the hub actuator. Take it loose from the control arm. Ideally, to take the brake line and ABS sensor, go ahead and take the caliper off, set it to the side. Same way with the wheel speed sensor. So I'm going to go ahead and get a lift, re-support this so I can get all that loosened up. So take all that off first. Okay, so what this is a strut spring compressor. This is all that is made for, is compressing coil springs on strut assemblies. So you've got 3 attaching points on the top, 3 on the bottom, and they are adjustable, except for the very back one is non-adjustable. This top right here pivots in multiple directions. This is the best way to do struts. You can get the rental toolkits at local parts houses, something like that. You could do it that way. I don't trust them as much as I trust this. And the reason, you could see how stout this machine is. This is designed for this. So this is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna compress the spring. I am not gonna do this in time lapse. So here it is. So this is what we're gonna do. All right, so right now there's barely any tension on this thing, so we're gonna turn this rod, the screw, and we are just going to compress it. We're not touching any nuts until we get enough of this thing compressed. And yes, I will compress a lot. Okay, so now you can see along the bottom, let me move the camera, you can see I have compressed this strut a lot, this spring. So now that spring is compressed enough, I feel comfortable taking this 17mm nut off. Only now is the only time I am touching this nut. So, nice and easy. So it is wanting to spin, so let me go grab a pair of channel locks. And I'm just gonna kinda, let me get a little high, so. All right, so that is loose. I'm still holding on with my channel locks. Now I can bring this strut assembly down. Now, these come with a new one. Customer's gonna keep this, replace this bushing. The new ones come with it. But that is the strut shock portion of your strut. So we're going to assemble this in reverse order. Okay, so we got the strut reinstalled. We got the new shock itself swapped over. So technically you don't have to do an alignment afterwards, but we are going to, one, customer request, and two, we did loosen up the upper ball joint and the tie rod. In all reality, it doesn't have to be done, but we're going to do it anyway. So we'll get you through that process. Make sure you get all your bolts back in place, retighten your lower strut bolt, your three 15mm bolts up top, and your sway bar link. So we got all that tightened back up. Now it's just a matter of putting the wheel back on and getting it over to the alignment rack.